Okay, hola clase. I just want to really quickly go through this handout with you. Not that it's anything difficult, but just to make sure you get the pronunciation and stuff right. And there's a couple of little things I want to explain. This week we're supposed to be learning how to talk about leisure activities and pastimes. Nothing difficult at all, I promise. Just one main grammar point, and everything else, it's just vocabulary that you would have met before because it's mostly verbs. Okay, so the main thing that you need to know is just these two words, me gusta. Now you'll notice that it's a little different from regular verbs. So me gusta means I like, but not literally. Normally, if you have a verb like, let's say, bailar. Bailar means to dance. To say I dance, when you conjugate it, is just bailo, I dance. To eat, comer. I eat is como. In Spanish, there is no verb that means to like. Okay, there's no verb, no infinitive that means to like. To get around that, what they end up using is the verb gustar, which means to please or to be pleasing to. Okay? So then if you want to say, okay, so let's take the sentence, I like apples. Right? If you want to translate that into Spanish, because there is no verb that means to like, you have to rearrange it first of all into a form using this expression, to please or to be pleasing to. So I like apples. We can say that in this way: apples are pleasing to me. It's a little roundabout, but it means the same thing, right? So this is the sentence that actually we can translate into Spanish using this verb gustar. So when you conjugate gustar is a regular verb, and this is what you will get. Gusto, I please or I am pleasing. Gustas, you please or you are pleasing. Gusta, he, she or it pleases. Gustamos, we please. And gustan, they please. Okay. So if you want to say apples are pleasing to me, then we would have to say they please me or they are pleasing to me. So gustan is the form that you would use. You'll notice, if you go back to this handout, that the form of the verb that they use is gusta, which is the third person, he, she, or it pleases or is pleasing. Okay? So literally what they are saying, me gusta, he, she, or it, in this case it will be an it pleases me. The me in front of the verb there it's an object pronoun, and it just means to me, for me, etc. So it pleases me. Honestly, I mean, all of that grammar and theory, you don't need to know it. All you need to know is that if you want to say I like, you use me gusta, but just understand that the verb gustar does not mean to like, okay? Because then you can run into problems later on if you try to make more complex sentences, right? So to say that you like to do something, you just use me gusta and then you add the infinitive form of the verb. The infinitive, remember, is the form that is not conjugated. So let's just look at some examples. Me gusta ir, I like to go. And here are some of the places that you might like to go. Me gusta ir a la playa, to the beach. Me gusta ir al cine, I like to go to the cinema. Me gusta ir al parque, to the park. Me gusta ir al club, me gusta, to the club. Me gusta ir al centro comercial, I like to go to the mall. Me gusta ir a la piscina. Obviously, this is not an exhaustive list. The key is just to remember that it's ir a. Ir a means to go to, and then when that's followed by the article el, you get ir al, right? But if it's ir a la, that just remains ir a la. Okay, but once it's ir a and then el, it must be ir al. Okay, so that's I like to go. I like to play now. So in terms of sports, you could say me gusta jugar al fútbol. Me gusta jugar al cricket. Me gusta jugar al tenis. Me gusta jugar al baloncesto. Notice that all the sports, you always have al in front of them. Okay, so jugar al and whatever sports, and there's other sports obviously as well you can look up. To play an instrument, the word jugar means to play in the sense of a sport or actually like physically playing outside and stuff. But in terms of playing an instrument, you use the verb tocar, which means to touch or to play an instrument. So me gusta tocar el piano. Me gusta tocar la guitarra. I like to play the guitar, I like to play the piano, and any other instrument you want. Just look up the vocabulary. And then there's all these other random verbs that you can use. Obviously, this is a table, so the me gusta is on top, and you use me gusta in front of any of these. So me gusta mirar la televisión. I like to watch TV. Me gusta escuchar la música, listen to music. Me gusta correr. Me gusta nadar. Me gusta bailar. Me gusta cantar. Me gusta hacer ejercicios. I like to do exercise. Me gusta hacer ejercicios. Me gusta relajarme en casa. I like to relax at home. Relajarme comes from the infinitive relajarse, but the form that you will need to use when you're talking about yourself is relajarme. Okay, so how can you ask somebody what they like to do? ¿Qué te gusta hacer en tu tiempo libre? What do you like to do in your free time? This is of course informal. If you're using the usted form, you would ask ¿Qué le gusta hacer en su tiempo libre? ¿Qué le gusta hacer en su tiempo libre? Is how you would ask an usted, right? But I mean, for our purposes, you can just learn ¿Qué te gusta hacer en tu tiempo libre? Okay, what do you like to do in your free time? Alternatively, you can ask what are your hobbies or pastimes? ¿Cuáles son tus pasatiempos? ¿Cuáles son tus pasatiempos? You can also just ask ¿Te gusta? Do you like? So, ¿te gusta correr? Do you like to run? ¿Te gusta nadar? Do you like to swim? Etc. And of course, le gusta would be the usted version. So these are just some example sentences. Me gusta ir a la playa con mi familia. I like to go to the beach with my family. Me gusta jugar al fútbol con mis amigos. I like to play football with my friends. Me gusta leer y escribir. I like to read and write. No me gustan los deportes. I don't like sports. Now you notice it's gustan in this sentence, and I'll explain why in a little while. And finally, los sábados por la tarde me gusta ir al parque con mi familia y jugar al cricket. On Saturday afternoons, remember, los sábados on Saturdays por la tarde in the afternoon. So los sábados por la tarde on Saturday afternoons. I like going to the park with my family and playing cricket. Okay, so just the one main grammar point here now. When talking about something that you like to do, as you would have noticed, you always use me gusta and the infinitive of the verb. As I have here, just think of the English. I like to draw. I like to paint. I don't like to drive. So in English, the word like, I like, when you're talking about an action, is always followed by the infinitive in English as well. So in Spanish, it's the same thing. I like to whatever. Okay, so you don't conjugate the verb after gusta. Okay, however, you don't always like just activities. Obviously, you like things too, right? So when it's a noun that's following the word gusta, in that event, you either have to use me gusta or me gustan. Okay, so either you're going to be liking a singular thing or a plural thing. Remember, since gustar means to be pleasing, and when we use the word gusta, what we're saying is something, a singular thing, a third person is pleasing to me, right? So if it's more than one thing that's pleasing, then you have to say they gustan, they are pleasing to me. Okay, so again, it's a kind of a tricky grammar point. So you don't need to know the whys, just learn that if you're liking a singular thing, you use gusta. If you're liking a plural thing, you use gustan. Okay, so just look at the examples. Me gusta el pan. I like bread. It's one thing. No me gusta este vestido. I don't like this dress. Again, one thing. Notice to say to give you negative of these statements I like, you add the no in front of it, right? So me gusta, no me gusta. Me gustan los zapatos de Linda. I like Linda's shoes. Linda's shoes, a plural object, so gusta changes to gustan. Okay, me gustan los zapatos de Linda. And finally, no me gustan los frijoles. I don't like beans. Again, another plural object, so you use gustan. Nothing complicated, it's just a matter of practice. Okay, then the final thing we need to learn is how to talk about weather. So the verbs that you use are hacer and estar, both verbs that you've met before. El tiempo means the weather, but it also means time, but just don't get confused, okay? It means weather as well. Hace sol. It's sunny. El sol is the sun. Hace sol. The verb llover means to rain. You notice I have this little thing here, which means that it's not a regular verb. It's a stem changing, so the O changes to UE when it's conjugated. Don't need to know that. Just know this form. Está lloviendo. It's raining. La lluvia is rain. Hace viento. It's windy. Está nublado. It's cloudy or overcast. Hace buen tiempo. The weather is nice. Hace mal tiempo. The weather is bad. Hace calor. It's hot. Calor is a noun, so if you want to say it's very hot, you have to say mucho. You have to say mucho and not muy. Hace mucho calor. It's very hot. Literally, it's making a lot of heat. And it's very cold. Hace mucho frío, or just hace frío. It's cold. Okay, so ¿qué tiempo hace? What is the weather like? That's, just a basic question you can ask. And then to kind of tie it in with gustar, you can ask questions like ¿qué te gusta hacer cuando hace buen tiempo? What do you like to do when the weather is nice? ¿Qué te gusta hacer cuando hace buen tiempo? Response: cuando hace buen tiempo. When the weather is nice. Me gusta ir a la playa. Cuando hace mal tiempo, no podemos salir de la casa. When the weather is bad, we cannot, no podemos salir de la casa, leave the house. Cuando hace calor, me gusta tomar bebidas frías y comer helados. When it's hot, I like to have cold drinks and eat ice cream. Cuando hace frío, mi mamá prepara comida caliente. My mom makes hot food. And I mean, there's so many things you can do with this material, and you will have practice for your homework. Okay, so I hope none of it was too confusing. Just let me know if you need anything else explained.